Hello there, and welcome to this very, very special episode of the planDisney podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about something that is near and dear to our heart, and that is the planDisney panel search. So excited about this. So excited about our guest today. And I just want to tell you, besides the fact that I'm your host and my name is Amiyrah Martin, one of my favorite things about myself is that I am a former planDisney panelist. So this is going to be such a wonderful episode. And we're going to tell you everything you need to know about planDisney. And we're also going to share how you, the listeners, can apply for a chance to become a planDisney panelist. But first things first, I think we need to see who our guests are today on the episode. Hello, family.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi.
Yay. Now, this is a topic that is so near and dear to all of our hearts. So I'm so excited that you're here today. And I think we're going to be gabbing it up.
Yes, definitely.
We are, totally. So let's start with some intros. Introduce yourselves. Let everybody know who you are. And then we are going to get started. Now, Lisa, we would love to start with you.
Yes, I'm Lisa, and I'm so excited to be here. I have loved Disney my whole life. I'm a wife and a mom of 2 young adults, and we raised them on Disney, and I've spent every year taking them to Walt Disney World and Disneyland, and we're annual pass holders, and my specialty is the Walt Disney World Resort.
Oh, wow. Okay. Sounds great. Raquel, you're next.
Yes, and I am Raquel. I'm a Walt Disney World panelist. I'm a wife and mom of 2 as well, teens, and you know how that is. And that we've done a good job kind of engulfing our kids into all of this magic. And, you know, I'm also a twin, but I'm the cuter one. But I'm going to give her the MVP because she has put up with me all of these years, even more than my husband. And she's not as magical as I am, but you know,
yes,
I have to give a shout out to her. She's good.
I love it.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Ryan, you're up next.
I am so excited to be here. Like Lisa, this is my first year on the panel, and I'm also a Walt Disney World specialist. When I'm not down at Walt Disney World, I'm a college professor, and my partner and I are part of the No Kids Club, proudly. Whenever we're not working, we're trying to make our way down to Walt Disney World Resort or hop on a Disney cruise ship.
Oh, you said the magic words, Disney cruise.
Yes.
All right. So I think we should hop into the first thing that people need to know. What exactly is a planDisney panelist?
So we're guests that have extensive experience with Walt Disney World Resort, Disneyland Resort, Disney Vacation Club, and the Disney Cruise Line. And so we take those experiences and we are available to answer questions and provide tips. You can go to the planDisney website and search for answers, or you can submit your own question to us. And we are using our expertise to help guests have a magical Disney vacation.
Yeah, and also getting into a lot of social media content as well.
Right.
So Instagram posts, I'm learning a lot how to do that. When we were announced as panelists, a couple of my friends were like, "Oh, you're a blue check." They're teenagers, and I was like, "What does that mean?" I was like, so I learned about verified accounts, all that kind of stuff. So I'm learning a lot, but we also do that sort of stuff as well.
Okay, so a big question that I think we need to answer is, what do you do as a panelist?
Well, the majority of what we do is we have written answers to guest questions, and that is a big part of our job.
But there's more to it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I mean, we answer a lot of times Instagram questions, so we'll do those. We can do these podcasts, media events.
Yeah, we also document our own Walt Disney World resort vacations or cruises, so that planDisney can show, you know, on Instagram and other social media platforms kind of what a great Disney vacation looks like. And some of our panelist friends got to come down for the opening of Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, got to ride it before everybody else. So there's lots of fun stuff that we do, but at the end of the day, sitting at that computer doing research and answering questions.
That's the key.
Yes. Yeah, one of the things I really like that we've done so far this year is provide our opinions. Like, what are your top snack recommendations for the holidays? Or what features do you love at this particular resort? So that's fun to provide our opinion that way as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, lots of variety in this job. I love it.
Yeah. The new pocket guides too, right? A lot of the pocket guides use some of our feedback about what we like about certain resorts and our tips and tricks. So there's variety, but also questions.
Yes.
A question that I know many panelists get asked is, what made you want to be a panelist? This is a big deal. What made you want to actually apply and maybe take that leap?
For me, I wanted to stop annoying my family and friends with all of my Disney information. I have a small extended family, and they don't do a lot of Disney vacations, and so I saw this as an outlet for me to kind of help other guests and utilize that knowledge. My family calls me a Disney crazy person, and so I was like, this sounds like a good job for me.
Right, you're an aficionado.
Oh, that's a much better way to put it. I like that.
I like that.
Let's use good verbiage there.
Yeah, and for me, I just really wanted to make sure that I could help guests have that magical experience and those magical experiences our family has had, because there's a lot of times where people are just doing this for the first time, and they don't know all the ins and outs, and I feel like that's something that I want to be a part of. I want to be able to help guests.
And for me, I was doing it anyway.
Yeah.
The only difference is it just wasn't doing it on a larger platform.
Right.
I mean, from, when we think about old school, when the Times, all before the, other technologies came about, I was doing schedules and my friends would go and like, okay, 8 o'clock, you go here. And, it was intense. I was doing it anyway. It's just now it's extended more.
Natural.
Yeah. It's just natural.
I love that. Okay. So another thing that I think we all get asked is, what does a day in the life look like for a panelist? It sounds like we're answering a lot of questions and you kind of have to intertwine that, but tell us what a day in the life looks like for even each of you, because it's going to be so different.
Yes.
Lisa, how about you?
Yes. So being a panelist is not a full-time job. I have a full-time job. I'm a kindergarten teacher. And so I weave answering questions in on my weekends and on my evenings. And I make sure to plan that around my family's schedule. So I manage and balance that time.
Okay. Sounds great.
And for me, I'm an early warrior. I like to, the start of the week comes, I'm up early. I like it dark. I like it quiet.
Yes.
I like the peace. And then I can kind of get them out like that and not have to stress so much, because I'm a school librarian. We're all in education, and knowing that I have to go to work, I'm like, let me go ahead and do this on the weekends. I can get it done, still get my errands done. And so it's easy for me to kind of weave it into my normal day.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
We need to talk later, because I need to learn how to be that morning early warrior and get things done earlier in the week.
I got you.
But for me as a college professor, every day looks a little bit different. So some days I'm teaching, some days, research, writing, or administration. And so I answer when I can, but it's really a great change of pace for me.
Right.
Especially, I love to answer a question about, what's the good food at Epcot right now, when I've been answering questions from students all day about, leadership theories and HR policies. It's much more fun to talk about Walt Disney World Resort.
It is. I agree with you on that one. Yes. And you mentioned research. There is a lot of research that we do as part of this opportunity, is that we research a lot for every answer, which is really nice. Yeah. So they're really
even if you know the answer, it's good to research it just to make sure.
Exactly.
Just that little extra push.
Yeah, that accuracy is important.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
And things are always changing. So,
Oh, goodness,
we have a body of knowledge that we have, but it needs to be updated all the time.
Right. That's true. That's true. Now, I know another question that gets asked a lot is, what are some of the questions you actually get asked when you are a panelist? So what's a question that maybe you get asked a lot, or we get asked a lot on the website, that you can think of that you're just like, I've answered this 1,000 times?
I feel like a lot of the questions come through about dining or tickets, hotel questions.
Yes.
Those types.
Yeah. Lots of newbie questions.
Okay.
Some redundant, like, I kind of know the answer, but I want to see if you give me another answer, kind of thing.
Hunting for special information.
That kind of thing. So, yeah, those two. But you know what? You love them. You love them just the same.
Yes.
Everybody wants an answer. I get it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
It really does run the gamut. We get a lot of what kind of coffee maker is in this particular, resort room, and or more general questions like, I have a family of 4, 2 young kids, and what should a day at Walt Disney World Resort look like for us? Yeah. And those are often really fun too, because you get to be creative and provide a lot of advice and guidance to help them plan.
And it's nice that there's always a variety of the questions. And I know you're a microwave answerer.
There were a few weeks where I just tackled all of them.
She's a wagon warrior.
Stroller wagon warrior. I am.
So we do get those questions where we just know, and we see them, we're like, okay, I got it. I've answered this 2,000 times, but I know you're asking, and I know it's a simple question, but they want a human to answer it for them, and they want that connection. So it's really important that it's said that this is what panelists do. Right. Yeah. We give you that personalized answer.
Yes. And I feel like it's easy to gravitate to the questions that we know that we're experts at, but I find myself sometimes choosing some of the more challenging ones too, just to make sure that I'm switching it up. Yeah. And that's been really fun.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So that way you also get variety too.
Yes.
But sometimes we get personal questions to us individually.
Yes.
And I know that I've gotten a question from another African-American mom. Her baby was going to Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, and she was concerned about how to get the glitter out of her hair.
So I
understood when she said it. I'm like, put some cotton in the brush. I think that answer is out there. Put some cotton in the brush and a little oil and get it. And so it's having that face helped her to know that she could ask that question. Yes. And even though for some it may be a crazy question, for me, it made perfect sense because I have my own little girl and things like that.
Right.
So
exactly. Now, we touched on that. We do a lot of research for each question. And I think a lot of people think you have to know everything about Disney in order to be a panelist. Is that true?
No.
No, definitely don't. No. The great thing about this year's panel is there's about 50 of us, and that's 29 from mine and Ryan's class, and then alumni. And so we work with each other. It's very much a team effort. If we don't know the answer, we are seeking out each other because someone's going to know the answer.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So now I don't think you have to know everything. I'm a DVC member. I've gone on Disney Cruise Line. I've been to Disneyland, but I'm just more comfortable with Walt Disney World. Right. And anything I don't know the answer to, like she said, we have a big community that we can ask. And like I said, I've also asked my friend, I got a wedding question. Hey, you just got married. So give me some information so I can, transfer this information. So you just use your resources.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and we couldn't know everything. I mean, there's more than 300 dining locations at Walt Disney World Resorts. Like, I haven't been to all of them yet. So if I get a question, I ask the other panelists, have you stopped by here? What do you like? I need to help this I need to help this guest with their question. And I think I'm also a Disney Vacation Club member and been on a cruise. And I look at some of the questions that our panelist friends on that side answer, and I'm like, I thought I know a lot about it, but I don't know that much. I'm going to stick to Walt Disney World.
That's so true.
Now, you said the magical word alumni, and we mentioned that, we're a big family. Yes. There's 200 of us. Now, a big question that we get asked is, are you a panelist forever?
Of course. As a panelist, always a panelist.
Yes, but we are only active for one calendar year, and then possibly 2 if we are able to come back, and then we go into the vault. Do you want to talk about what we mean by that, Ryan?
Yeah, so we'll be active, like you said, for 1 year. But what class are you from? You've come out of the vault recently.
I shouldn't ask. I have been in the vault for since I've been here since 2013. Yeah. So if I've gone in the vault a little bit, but I'm still a panelist. I'm just not active.
Right. So there is inactive and active. Yeah. That's probably the key words to remember, is that you can get flipped. We can flip the switch, and then you're taken out of the vault. Yeah. I love that.
I don't have that experience yet of going into the vault, but I can imagine it might be hard to stay away.
But it's easy because you still have that community. So So it's no problem.
And everybody needs a break every once in a while. And it's always so nice to take the break and see our fellow panelists rocking it, answering all the questions. And then once you're ready, you can go, you know what? I would love to be, thought of when it's time to pick alumni to join back in. So it is kind of fun to be in the vault and see you guys rocking and rolling. Another big question, how to become a panelist.
Well, that's what this whole episode is about, right? It's about search. So every year, the planDisney team does a multi-round search process, and it starts with applications opening. And so I think I get to share the news. This year,
here we go.
Applications are going to open at noon Eastern time on September 7th. And they're going to be open for just a week. So it's only a short amount of time to get that application in. They're going to close again promptly at noon Eastern time on September 13th. And you can access the application on planDisneySearch.com. So for anybody out there who's interested, mark your calendars and make sure that you apply.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh, this is exciting news. Okay, so you mentioned the application. Now we know when it's going to open. Let's talk about that process because it's a multi-step process. And I think sometimes people get a little overwhelmed once they realize, oh, it's not just filling one thing out. So let's deep dive into that. Let's talk about each step and, what our hopefuls can expect from the application process.
Yes. So for round one, like Ryan mentioned, there are some questions that you have to answer. And for me, the day that the application process opened, it was like Christmas morning for me. I was a big kid. And this was my 4th year applying before I made the panel. And just very exciting. And, of course, opening the application right away and looking at the questions and taking the time to just gather my thoughts before I applied. But just making sure that I was thoughtful and mindful about those questions was important. There is a waiting period of approximately 3 to 4 weeks before you're going to find out if you advance to that second round, because a human reads each and every application. They spend hours upon hours reading those answers and making their decisions. So you do have a waiting period.
Yeah. And then for round 2, you do more short answers and you do a video.
Okay.
And I think it's important not to really focus on the other rounds. I think you really need to focus on the first one first, but definitely after you make it past there, then you can kind of have some ideas just in case. But for the most part, definitely worry about that first.
Yes.
Yeah, you definitely want to wait and make sure that you have put your best effort forward for the first round.
Yeah, and then after that second round, those of us who are lucky enough to advance, there is a third video interview round, which was really fun, but also really stressful. You've kind of almost made it to the end. It's a fun / stressful process.
Yes, that's true.
That Zoom call can be very exciting. It is definitely a chance to connect with the team and talk more. But I agree.
Yeah. Now, a personal question. What was applying like for you? Now, I know for each of you was so different. Ryan, I would love for you to start because your story is very unique.
Yeah, so I this is the first time that I've ever applied. So it's kind of rare. I know a lot of other panelists.
Well, I'm with you.
Oh, you were a first timer as well?
Yes,
Congratulations.
Same to you.
Must have done something right. Yeah.
Or we were right for our people. That's
true.
How I always see it.
Yeah. And, at the time I was starting a new job. And so life was really crazy. So I kind of actually forgot about round 2 and was really, really surprised. So that wait was not that bad for me. But then waiting for round 3 was really, really difficult.
Yeah.
It was so exciting. And then when you get the call, it's surreal.
Yeah.
Now, Raquel, you have a unique story too.
Okay. Well, it wasn't the first time. I'm sorry. It just wasn't. And it wasn't the second. It wasn't the third. I applied 6 times. So the first 5 times was disappointing.
Yeah.
But it just fueled me even more. And really, a no is not a no. It's just a no for right now. It's not, I just wasn't, they weren't ready for all of this.
Listen, I was just going to say, I think they needed time to get ready for you.
Yes.
And then you were with your people.
I was. And then I came onto the scene. So after the 5 times and I finally made it to round 2, that's why I say don't worry about round 2 because you might not get past the first one. But that once I made it past the round 2, I knew something was about to happen.
Something was different.
I knew it. It was just, and I didn't pay attention as much. So I kind of gave myself and said, look, this is who I am.
Right.
You have to love me the way I am. And if you don't, that's fine too.
Exactly.
And they love me.
Of course, we do love you. Now, Lisa, how about you?
So fourth time was a charm for me. The first year I applied, I was lucky enough to make a video. The second year I applied, I also was lucky enough to make it to round 2 and make that video. And when I watched it back, I would have disqualified myself because I was way too rehearsed. I was not myself. The third year I applied, I was lucky. I rather was not lucky enough to make it past round 1. And then fourth time again was a charm for me. It just was meant to be, I guess.
It was meant to be.
It was.
Yes, totally. Now, I think you all kind of touched on it already. What did you do to kind of distract yourselves between those rounds? Like Ryan said, he was really busy. Life was busy.
Yeah.
But what did you do when you tried each year to kind of distract yourselves from those in between?
For me, in between was the first couple of times was a little more nerve wracking because, you kind of, check your email, check, or you go to, any sort of groups to see if there's any news, anything like that. But the last time I just did it and I forgot. And then I'm like, oops, got the second email. And then it just kind of flowed from there. So yeah, I think it's really important to really keep yourself busy, plan your own Disney vacation. I highly recommend that, because if you're not planning a trip, then you can't give anybody tips. So you have to plan it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So I agree with that. I also was working on planning Disney vacations the times that I applied, and I happened upon a couple of Facebook groups of hopefuls. So I was lucky enough to make some really good friends there who actually happened to make the panel with me this year finally. My friend Mandy, yes. And then I had a ritual this year where every single morning I listened to Happily Ever After in my car. Until even on the day that I found out I made it. So, of course, I was crying off and on in the car certain days, but it just was a fun ritual to kind of keep me focused on what I want to hope the end result would be.
Lisa, I love that was your ritual, your tradition. And I hope somebody actually does that too. It's just such a happy thing to do every day. And you know what? If maybe they don't want to listen to a song, they can listen to the podcast, catch up on some of these episodes here.
Yes, there's some amazing episodes not to be missed, all of them.
Now, let's go back to the application because it's really important. And I feel like this is our chance to help those who are going to be applying and maybe they're a little nervous and you just want some tips. Now, what is the kind of anatomy of a good application?
So I know it sounds so cliche, but I would definitely suggest being yourself because they don't want someone that's not being themselves or putting themselves forward. They don't want a cookie cutter panelist. They don't want someone that's just like everyone else. They're looking for unique individuals, diverse group of panelists.
Yeah. I think another thing is to make sure your edit is, write, revise, the whole steps that you learned in school when you're writing. So you want to make sure that you write, just go ahead and get it out of your head and then go back and make sure you do some editing, make sure you input some, correct terminology and go from there. I think the editing piece is going to be important.
Yeah, I mean, most of what we do is answering questions, and so it's really, really important. I always tell my students that don't let your message and in your planDisney application, it's who you are, and don't let that message get derailed by silly grammar mistakes and spelling and things like that. But back to what Lisa said about being yourself, it really is true, and don't try to think about what the planDisney team might want because be yourself, and they're going to put together a panel that, represents all Disney guests. And so I actually, I thought maybe because I didn't have any kids that I wouldn't be selected as a panelist because, we think of Walt Disney World Resort, we think a lot about family vacations, but I actually think the fact that, I go on a lot of trips with just my adult friends was actually kind of a plus. And they maybe wanted some of that perspective in the panel. So don't try to overthink it. Just be you.
Yeah. And I totally agree with that. You definitely want to focus on each question and showcase your personal experience because in the end, they do want panelists that have experience because that is authentic when you answer.
And also start early in the process. I mean, if it opens on Wednesday, if you can, go ahead and at least take a look at the question so you can kind of get an idea. Because if the later you get in the week, then you might have technology issues.
Yes,
or
don't wait until the last minute.
Don't wait till the last minute. Yeah.
Try your hardest.
Yes.
And proofread your answers is really important.
Yeah. Or get somebody else to look at it,
That's
for
a good
grammatical errors, not necessarily for content, because they may not know what they're looking at, depending on who it is. But definitely, yeah.
I know one tip that I think we all agreed on when we were talking before is thinking beyond the actual website, because everybody looks on, the Disney Parks website to kind of find out information. But for being a panelist, it's actually personalizing the advice that we give. So don't think it has to look exactly like what you're reading on the website.
Completely. And the application is not a quiz. It's not testing your knowledge, right? They want to see your personality and your experiences come through. So you're going to be able to do that with any of the questions that are asked. There aren't going to be any where you're going to be like, I have no idea what to do. I guess I can't apply. That's not what's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've covered round one. I think we've given enough advice. If we haven't, they will message us and we'll answer. That's what we're here for.
Of course.
So let's move on to round two. So let's say, congratulations, you've made it to round two. And they get that magical email and they're going, oh goodness, what's next? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the video portion and even just a little bit of that short answer, just so that way they understand what they can prepare for that round.
Yeah, so my advice again with the video, and I know I sound like a broken record, but it's important to be yourself. If something doesn't feel comfortable to you, like fancy videos and editing, then don't do that because it's going to come across unnatural. And for me, when I filmed my video, I just used a simple background. It was interesting, but it wasn't cluttered and natural lighting. And I made sure to smile because, if you're not having fun, it's painful to watch. I feel like. So, and some of our friends did some fancy videos, but that was
amazing. They were amazing.
But that fit their personality, and they were comfortable with that. They were in their own skin because that's what they do. So.
But it's important to know that you don't have to do all the big pomp and circumstance. It's not that deep. Just you talking and getting it out there. And that question that you're going to answer is pretty much kind of related to what you'll be doing should you make it to the panel.
Exactly.
So that's a good way to do it. And, and kind of get your gears thinking on what type of question this may be and how I would personally answer it.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and making sure that you answer the question.
And not veer off.
It can be easy to kind of, as panelists and prospective panelists, we have so much knowledge that we want to share. And so we can kind of get excited, but make sure you stick to the question. And I think another thing that potential applicants should consider is if they're kind of nervous like I was about the round two video, they could check out the planDisney Instagram account where we do our Instagram Q&A videos because that's really all that they need to do. It doesn't have to be fancy, and that can give them an idea of maybe what they want to do in their video.
Yeah.
But my video was just in my dining room, and nothing fancy, and I guess it worked.
Yeah. Mine was in my kitchen. And I agree with you what you're saying about the questions. When you have those questions in round two, again, you're just showcasing your personal experience, giving great tips, and you are showing your passion about Disney, really.
Right.
That should shine through your answer.
Absolutely. Yeah. It should show your personality that your friends see all the time. That's really what it is. It's because you're having people look at it and they want to go, oh, I think I know them from that video. So it doesn't need to be overcomplicated, but I will admit, I love when our fellow panelists get creative.
I do love those.
And it's really nice.
I love watching them.
Yes, they're so fun to watch. But when we watch them, we do get, like Ryan said, the question is answered, but we also see that their personality comes through.
Yes.
So if somebody's a little more extra in the way that they want to do it, totally fine. Totally fine.
And there's a time limit with the video too.
Yes.
So you really do have to focus in on what you are supposed to say on the video, what you're supposed to answer.
Exactly. Now, I think we just touched on that a little bit, but how can someone stand out when they are doing, especially maybe even round two, because there's two parts to it? How can they stand out in that round?
I think being who you are, if like I'm from Texas, and you're like, hey, what's up? I don't know, because that's me. It's maybe not. I'm not going to be a hello if I'm in a casual setting.
Yes.
So just thinking of that type of thing, and it's okay to be if you're from a certain area and that's how they speak. Let it put it in there.
Regional.
Yeah.
Love a good regional thing.
Yeah, and just don't focus on what you think they want to see. And the thing that I really liked, the question that I answered for my video was actually about something that I had just done at Walt Disney World Resort like a month earlier. And so I drew on that experience and just acted like I was telling somebody about my vacation. And it was still scary, but
it's so true. You are drawing on your experience, and it's like talking to a friend.
Yeah. And it's not an audition. So we don't have to, we love doing things like this podcast, but it's not a requirement for panelists to be in front of the camera all the time. And so, don't let that kind of trip you up, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. Now you've already given so many great tips, but I'm gonna get a little tough. I want you to give your best application tip.
So for me, it's again being your authentic, genuine self, and having fun. I mean, I really do believe the difference for me this year was I had fun,
right?
And I just enjoyed it, and I took it all in.
Yeah,
have fun. Don't get too distracted. Like if it's a certain thing you want to talk about, don't get distracted and plan your own vacation. And then you start talking about, well, this is what I'm going to do, because I know I get distracted when I'm trying to do things. But try not to get distracted and just kind of focus.
I love that.
And focus on what you know and your own experiences. We already talked about it, but we don't have to know everything, and we're not expected to. So it can come across as inauthentic if you're trying to talk about a topic that you don't really have a passion for, or you don't really have that experience about.
There are some questions that have multiple answers, so you can choose what you're most comfortable with, and I think that makes a big difference.
Right.
Yeah, that passion's not going to shine through if you're not an expert or it's not something that you've lived.
Exactly.
So true. So true. Okay, I feel like we should give them a rundown of some of the eligibility requirements. And I think we should just start with age. That's a good one to start with.
Yeah, 18. That's the age.
18.
That's the magic number.
Yes, you have to be at least 18.
You need to be an adult. Kid at heart is okay.
Yeah,
that's right.
Definitely kid at heart.
And after that, I think a lot of people ask, do you have to be a U.S. resident in order to apply?
No.
Okay.
No. We have panelists from 5 countries, I believe.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Up to 5.
Hey,
Yes. You have to have visited or been a part of one of the specialties, either Walt Disney World Resort, Disneyland Resort, Disney Cruise Line, or Disney Vacation Club. So you do have to have had at least experience with that in the past qualifying year, I believe is the term. Yes.
Now, another thing is, everyone asks, you have to be an influencer, because that's a big thing right now.
What's an influencer? Are you an influencer?
Right? I mean, technically, I guess so, yes. Yeah. But I don't know. Is that a requirement?
No, no social media presence is actually required at all.
Very interesting. Yes.
They are looking for people that are just regular old, everyday, down to earth people.
Relatable.
Yes.
That's it. That's it.
I mean,
you can
at
be
the
an
end of the day,
influencer, though.
Yes.
I mean,
you can.
It's not like you can't, but I'm sure the large majority of us are probably like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're guests.
Yeah.
We are guests.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Do you have to be comfortable on camera? Do you have to be comfortable with interviews? Is that really important for being a panelist?
I think that's something that you learn to get comfortable with.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't like being on camera at all. So if you look at all my pictures of my family, I am the one that's not in the pictures. My family is in the pictures.
Mamas.
And because that's my thing. And then having to do some of the Instagram stories that we have to do, I've gotten comfortable. And as I'm getting the information and the instructions is be yourself and do it in one time, I'm like, that's what I need to hear. So then I've started to get a little bit more comfortable.
And I'm the same. I definitely didn't have a comfort level with being on camera. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is fun because I love Disney so much, but it's definitely not a requirement.
Ryan, I really want you to talk about this because your social media presence wasn't very huge and it wasn't your thing.
when I became a panelist, I created a new Instagram account for my trips to Disney, and I'm getting used to it. I'm learning as we go, but it's optional, right? The core part of our job is to answer those questions on the planDisney website to help guests plan their vacations.
Absolutely. Now, do we have to be versed in all 4 areas?
No.
Okay,
definitely
that's
not.
an important one to tell.
But it can come in handy, though.
Yeah, it can.
Some of it can come in handy
because
if you happen to get a question, it may be about Walt Disney World and DVC, and you're like, wait a minute, I got that one,
Yeah,
Lisa, you're unique about that, though.
Well, yeah. So Disney is addicting. I mean, I don't know if you know that, but while I'm a Walt Disney World specialist, I actually also answer questions for Disneyland because I live in Colorado and it's easy to go back and forth to both coasts.
Yeah. So we can answer questions, but you don't have to be an expert at all 4 assets.
No.
You definitely don't. Okay. Another one that I think people ask a lot is, where can I find all this information?
So to submit an application, you'll need to visit planDisneySearch.com. Again, as Ryan said, at noon on Eastern Standard Time on September 7th. Yes, to fill out the application. And you want to make sure you have your answers ready, but it's really important to know, do not cut and paste your answers, right?
Yeah.
And definitely proofread them. And don't wait until the last minute because it is Eastern Standard Time no matter where you live.
Right.
And also have your own My Disney Experience account.
Yes.
So you might want to use that to log in so you can complete the application. So definitely if you don't have it, get it early.
Yeah, and all of the details and the eligibility requirements are available on planDisneySearch.com. So I think, looking at that now and kind of getting a feel for the website and, like you said, I'm sure that most of these folks already have a My Disney Experience account, but if not,
fingers crossed.
And then you definitely want to visit the planDisney website because it's great to see what kind of questions we get and how we answer them and get a feel for that.
Right.
What was that fun fact about how many questions do we have on the site now?
Over 200,000.
Oh my goodness.
It's a lot.
I know we have a ticker of how many questions we've actually answered, each of us individually. And I was looking at it the other day and I was like, oh my goodness, have I really answered that many questions?
You have.
Very exciting.
Now, I know that we've talked about how they can prepare. And now that Ryan has given the news, they have a date. How can they prepare in the meantime? What are some things that they can do while they're waiting for that application to open up?
So in the meantime, you can go to our Instagram account and you can ask us questions. So if there's something that wasn't clear, you weren't sure about, or we didn't answer here on this podcast, you can definitely send us your questions and we'll answer them.
That's so great that we're going to have an actual dedicated Q&A just for search. So that way people can actually go there as they're listening to this and ask their personal questions. And you all are going to answer that for them. That's so fun.
Yeah. And down the road, they can look at our story highlights in our Instagram account, and that Q&A is going to be saved there.
Great.
Yeah, I think like Lisa said, going on to planDisney.com and actually there's a Meet the Panel button. And so you can see all of the current panelists there and you'll realize how different we all are, both in our experiences, our walks of life, but also you can see the questions that we've answered and you'll notice that we all answer very, very differently.
Yes.
And so it's a good idea to if you're applying to look at that and to, this is not something you're going to be emulating. You're going to be using your own voice and your own style, but it's good for people to see that there is no one right way to answer a planDisney question. I think that can put people at ease before they apply.
Yeah. Essentially, this is a job. While again, it's not a paid job and it's a part-time job. You need to be aware of what you're applying for and what you'll be doing. I know. Oh, it is important to look at that. It definitely is.
I love that you giggled. They're like, yeah, that's important.
Well, yeah, and I had never asked a question on planDisney.com before applying. And so after I applied for round 1, I really kind of started exploring, and I did ask a question because I was curious about how it all worked.
Fun.
And it got answered, and I was like, wow, that sounds like it was a real person. It wasn't some AI chatbot or something. Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely all real people.
Yeah. As you can see, and we love each other.
Yes, we do.
Okay, let's talk about the very exciting part. Now, let's say you've made it. You get the magical email. What happens when you're actually chosen as a planDisney panelist?
Oh my gosh. It's going to feel like you've won the Disney lottery. I mean, there's not a Disney lottery, but if there was one, that's what it felt like for me. And I still have moments where I'm like, this is so surreal. Like, I mean, like right now, I'm like, can't believe I'm doing this. And could somebody please pinch me because I'm not really sure this is real.
I got you.
Oh, thank you. It is real. So for me, that's what it felt like. And just instant friends that become family instantly as well.
Yeah. And for me, just basically buckle up because once it's going to be a wild ride for the next couple of weeks, you know, from the time that and like when I got on, I posted and nobody knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, your friends do not know what it is.
You should know this, but they didn't. And so I had to, I guess I had to put on my planDisney ears and say, okay, well, this is what it is. And this is what I'm going to be doing and that kind of thing. So,
and send us questions.
Yeah.
Right. That's the
That is like the first question that we answer.
Yeah. Like, what is it?
For all of our friends and family. Yeah. Right. What are you actually doing there?
Right. What is that? Just like ask me a question and I'll tell you.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it really is surreal though. I mean, it all happens so fast. And once you find out, soon thereafter, there's training in December, which is mandatory. So if anybody's interested in applying or thinking about applying, they need to make sure that they're available. This year's training is going to be December 10th through the 14th. And somebody else share that. Okay, go ahead.
So for the first time ever, it's going to be held at the Disneyland Resort.
Oh my God.
That is so exciting.
So exciting.
Cool.
It's such a magical place. I mean,
Yeah.
was Walt's first vision, right?
Yes,
So,
totally.
Yeah.
That's going to be so fun. They're going to have so many stories to tell.
I can't wait to hear
when they
their
come
stories.
back. I know.
Yeah,
We're going to be asking all the questions. All right, tell us everything. What did you do?
Yes.
Did you cry?
Right.
Tons of tears. Yeah.
Tons of tears. Yes. You know what? Let's talk about the flip side too, because we do have you two here. What's it like when you get the no? Like what can they maybe expect from that?
They're going to be mad.
I mean, for me, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I mean, because you feel like you do have something to offer. And it was gut wrenching. I mean, I won't sugarcoat it. I mean, I had tears and I was disappointed, but you just, I can say this now, of course, because I am on the panel, but when it's meant to be, it'll be meant to be.
Right.
And if it's meant to be. Yeah. So for me, I mean, those no's were hard.
Yeah.
But it just gave me more energy to come back and try again.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
But it's important not to get discouraged. You can be disappointed, and I was disappointed, and don't get discouraged from it.
Right.
It's not the end of the world. It's the end of just this small, minuscule part of your journey.
Yeah.
And the journey is so much longer than that little piece of the no. So.
Yeah, and I think when we were talking before, I love the way you said it. You said it's not a no, it's a not yet or not right now.
Yeah.
So it could possibly happen, and that is important to just try again.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And every year's panel is different, right? So the planDisney team is putting together all these puzzle pieces to meet the needs of guests who are planning vacations. And a no one year does not mean that you don't have what it takes or you're not an ideal panelist. It's just not yet.
Well, yeah, and they are again, working hard to read every question and watch every video,
right,
and put together a team that's going to work well together, a group of panelists, a class of panelists that's going to work well together. And so you have to trust in the process and trust in the team that they're doing that.
Right. Yes.
And their job is not easy. I mean, let's face it, their job is not easy. and I feel like they did an amazing job with our class. We love each other.
Oh my gosh. We're all so different, but
yes.
That our training in December was surreal for me because it was the quickest that I've ever made a single friend, let alone, 30 friends, all within just a few short days. It's amazing.
Yeah. It was incredible.
Yeah. And then you really realize, oh, wow, I was meant to be here.
Yeah.
This was meant to be my spot.
It felt so right.
Yeah. Because you're with people who actually understand you and are your family right away.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Even when I made it, the yes came at the exact right time.
It totally did. Oh, I love that. Okay. Oh my goodness. It's almost time to go. That went so fast.
It did.
I'm really sad.
I know.
But I get to see you after this, so I'll be okay. But before you go, I think we should do a lightning round. Are you ready for this?
Right.
All right.
Okay, get ready. So basically, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I need the very first answer that pops into your head. All right, no hesitations. And just speak from your heart. Are you ready?
Ready.
But go really quickly.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Lisa, you're going to go first. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Favorite question you've answered?
So hard, but I'm going to think all the way back to the very first question I answered. I helped a guest answer a question about a surprise adoption reunion. And it just felt fun to give them a magical answer.
Oh, okay. Raquel, you're next.
Okay. One of my favorite is stroller wagons, #no. I love them.
I'm going to say I was actually staying at Disney's Riviera Resort, and a guest asked a question about the Riviera, and I got to just walk downstairs and go out back. It was about seating for dining, and it was nice to be able to do my research in person.
That's so magical. I love that. Okay, next one. Best part of being a panelist or your favorite memory?
So for me, the best part about being a planDisney panelist is definitely my planDisney family. It's not just my classmates, but it's the alumni, and it's the planDisney admin team. They're just incredible. So it's amazing ohana to be a part of.
Yes.
For me, it's the guests. It's the guests. It's when they ask those questions, I love it. I love it. And the more they keep asking, the more we can keep answering.
That's true.
Yeah, I would also say the guests and getting a personal question asked to us, especially when you've already answered a question for that same guest and they come back to you because they appreciated your information so much.
I love that.
Okay. Now, favorite piece of advice to share with guests?
So for me, it's definitely stay on property at a Disney resort hotel. I feel like there's just so many magical amenities and features and benefits that not to miss out on.
True.
I think for me, don't feel obligated to do all the parks in your very first visit. It's too overwhelming. Don't stress yourself out. Do one park, only stay about 2 or 3 days just to get a little feel and then come back later.
Oh, so smart.
Yes.
I would say talk to cast members. Whenever I'm in the theme parks or at the resorts, I always learn something new by striking up a conversation. These are amazing, unique humans, and they have so much knowledge to share with us. Even planDisney panelists, we can learn stuff too.
Oh, I love that. Okay. How do you handle answering tough questions?
Oh, I feel like it's really important to put myself in the shoes of the guest and how I'd want to get that information and how that might make me feel. I think when you kind of think about them and again, how it might make me feel, then that's definitely important, putting myself in their shoes.
I think research, and you just have to research. I mean, you may get a question about the mattress that you slept on at Animal Kingdom, at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and you're like, I don't know what mattress that was. So, but it really helps now because now when I actually look to see, just in case somebody asks.
So smart.
Some really interesting questions.
Yeah, that's true.
I like to pretend that, again, like Lisa said, that I'm in the guest shoes, but that it's a once in a lifetime trip. Even if they're asking about something like a microwave, I don't know why it's so important to them that they know if there's a microwave in their room. So I try to take that mindset.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So something you didn't expect about being a panelist.
I think some of the really interesting questions that we get, I didn't quite anticipate, even though I did go to the website and look at the questions. There are some that I just didn't anticipate answering, but you know what? No question is a silly question unless you don't ask it.
Right.
So, it's important to, again, I think Ryan said it well. You don't know why that question's important to them, but it's important to answer it.
Yes.
Yeah. The impact that your answer will be in the lives of them and for me. If I have a guest that will come back and say, Raquel, thank you for that answer. Now, can I ask this? You sure can. So, I love it. I love it.
I was just shocked at how much detail guests expect when asking about what kind of coffee makers are in the room, like specific and is this specific model number? It's like, okay, I'm gonna go hunting for you.
Coffee's important. I'm just gonna say that. Okay. What do you personally think makes a good panelist?
So for me, it's someone who knows about and loves vacationing at Disney and is also a team player. I do feel like it's important to be a team player.
I like that.
I think someone who's willing to do the work because I don't think sometimes the misconception is there's really not work involved. Any type of fun has to have some sort of work involved.
Right.
So
I think somebody who's empathetic, because you really do, like we talked about before, you have to put yourself in the guest's shoes when answering. And I also think time management. Most of us have really, really busy lives, and planDisney is an important part of it, but just one part of it. Right. And it's really important to manage your time to answer these questions.
Okay, last one. Any last words of wisdom for those that might be applying this year?
So I'll say it one more time. Be yourself and have fun and take it all in. Just really enjoy it, because I do feel like that translates to being yourself.
Yeah, and I agree. It's be you. You can't be anybody else but yourself.
True.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And be patient. It is a process, and for some panelists, it's a 1-year process, and for others, it takes a lot more time. And so, don't get discouraged.
Yeah. Now, those are all good answers and some really great advice for the hopefuls. I love that. Okay, so quick reminder. Applications open September 7th at noon Eastern Standard Time, okay? And if you want to check out all the eligibility requirements, go over to planDisneySearch.com. planDisneySearch.com. I said it twice for a reason. Now, thank you all so much for tuning into this episode of the planDisney podcast. If you want to check out a new episode, we put them out every third Wednesday of the month. Now, on September's episode, we're going to be talking all about conservation and how Disney parks are doing their part around the globe in order to make sure that we take care of our Earth. They're also going to talk about how guests can get involved when it comes to doing that. So stay tuned. In the meantime, if you'd like to know a little bit more about planDisney, check out planDisney Panel on Instagram and planDisney on Twitter. If you have a question of your own, stop over to planDisney.com to ask it. The panelists would love to help you. And to check out the latest news, be sure to stop by Disney Parks blog. And a big thank you to our panelists for joining us today and giving all of your advice. And we all want to wish you a really good luck. I think the best luck. Magic. All the magic.
All the pixie dust.
Absolutely. To all the hopefuls out there, we are so rooting for you. You can do this. And a reminder again, applications open September 7th at noon Eastern Standard Time. Good luck, and we'll see you soon.